Good afternoon and welcome back to Legal Tuesdays, this series where I answer your questions about separation of church and state. My name is Monica Miller and I'm the legal director here at the American Humanist Association. The question I will take today is from someone who asked on our Facebook page, when the average person observes a violation, what steps do you recommend to enforce separation of church and state? I decided to pick this one because it is a good one to start us off after we've had a little hiatus. Most of that time was spent writing an 11th Circuit Court of Appeals brief, which if you have not seen our press release or the brief itself or want to learn more about the case, you can go onto our website, americanhumanist.org, and hopefully you can navigate and find our case against the Ocala, Florida Police Department there. Big, high-stakes prayer case with Trump's former legal counsel as our opposing counsel, and their hope is to take this case to the Supreme Court. So it required a lot of intense focusing, and I sort of had to put this on pause. But restarting us off to answer this fellow's question, an average person, anyone who observes a church-state separation violation, whether you're average or completely unusual, if you observe or encounter a church-state separation violation, please report it to us. You can report it to me directly and Miller at americanhumanist.org. We also have an online complaint form at americanhumanist.org. And if you find that the violation is something that might be more specific to, I'm trying to think of one of the other groups. There's only a handful of us groups that even do these cases. We tend to do the same style of cases. Sometimes, we as a humanist organization can take on cases that might be pro or specific to humanism. For instance, in the prisons, we've been very successful in establishing humanism as an equal faith group for the purposes of getting rights and benefits in prisons. Whether humanism is actually a religion or not is irrelevant to the First Amendment's treatment of it as one. So that's sort of a pro-humanist thing. But all I was going to say is because we can't all take the violations at once, because there's too many violations and not enough of us lawyers. If you don't hear back from me right away, the friendly folks over at Freedom from Religion or Americans United or CFI, Center for Inquiry, American Atheists, we're all fighting the same good fight, and we work very closely together. In fact, I was just on a panel with my friends at those organizations last week. So all that said, you can report the violation directly to us. If you're not sure, you're free to email us or just sometimes just Googling if it's something that might be really, I don't want to say obvious, but because actually the things that are obvious would actually not be obviously constitutional or not. So for instance, I was going to say In God We Trust on a government building would be something obvious, but it wouldn't be obviously unconstitutional, unfortunately. But I guess what I was going to say is something that's not very nuanced or something that comes up a lot, like a sign or something. But definitely come to us if you're not sure or if it seems like a gray area. If it's a public, any sort of government entity in the United States that's doing something to promote or favor religion, and you've witnessed it in your local area or something happened to you, by all means report it to us. Unfortunately, these are tricky times. The courts are not stacked in our favor, so we're being a lot more conservative about the cases that we end up taking, but that doesn't mean we don't take intermediate steps that fall short of litigation, but usually are quite successful, either through sending a public letter, or sometimes I'll send a private letter, like an email to a government official if I don't feel like a press attention will actually be beneficial. I hope that you never have to encounter any church-state separation violations, but unfortunately, where things are at, it would be highly shocking if you don't at some point in your lifetime here in the United States. I hope that answers your question, and I look forward to talking to you on the next segment of Legal Tuesdays.